Welcome back to the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show. Always happy whenever you join us each week on the program, allowing us to share our gardening knowledge with you. Well, something that we have failed at prior to being introduced to the tree diaper, Holly, was overwatering and underwatering. And you'd be amazed at how much it takes to hydrate a grow bag or the soil when it's dry. You may splash and go, or you may oversaturate. But with a tree diaper, that's all taken care of it for you.
Tree Diaper is a revolutionary watering system that slowly releases water around the base of any tree or plant as the soil dries. No more overwatering or underwatering. The Tree Diaper is filled with water from rain or when you water, and it slowly releases water over 3 weeks. Every time it rains, it recharges. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. Water your plants and trees, whether they are by the house, down the road, back 40, wherever. Also works under mulch. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, the Tree Diaper will improve the way you water your plants. You can go to treediaper.com, made in the USA. That's treediaper.com. You know how they have those TikToks and reels about red flags and whatnot?
Tell me more.
Okay. They're kind of cute. Like, I might date this farmer, some farmer dating red flags, or Wisconsin guy red flags. You could have a gardener red flag if they're a splash and go person. Red flag. Red
flags like type of. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Red flag, splash and go gardener.
All right.
Green flag would be, somebody that uses
tree diaper. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you. All right. Well, let's talk about soil. Soil is the lifeblood of your garden, and if you don't have good soil and you've got crummy soil, you're in for a disappointment.
I'm going to make you confess something.
What's that?
Remember when you didn't realize soil was the lifeblood of the garden?
Well, on the farm, soil was just the medium in which held the plants. We pumped manure on it. We did soil tests to figure out how much urea and nitrogen and phosphate needed to be how many tons per acre, how much liquid nitrogen, that type of thing, and not nitrogen, liquid anhydrous, the big liquid gas things. Need to be. So that wasn't a focus on the farm. That's
right.
That's called the big ag industry.
Right, but what I'm saying is that sometimes things change.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Of course.
So
with that being said, if you're having frustrations year after year, maybe a soil test is necessary.
And you can get a soil test from your local university extension office for a small fee, and the more fee you give them, the more information they'll provide you with you based on your university. And what you are looking for is to know what your pH is, what your nitrogen levels are, what your phosphorus levels are, so you know what you need to stop doing, or and they'll give recommendations on, stop adding nitrogen, or you need to add this much nitrogen in order to get the levels to a good level, a good operating level.
Yeah. So that might be something, and we've had people send us a question saying, like, I continue to have these problems. Do you think I need a soil test? And I think if you think you need a soil test, you probably need a soil test.
Right. You should have somewhere between 3 and 6% of organic matter in your soil. And soil test, based on which one you get, can give you that measurement. But that is really the key to have. Now, a lot of soil in many parts of the country are well below that. I remember it was 6-7 years ago. We were at Madison, Wisconsin, at the yearly expo, and a gentleman came up and showed us his soil test, and he had 20% organic matter in his garden soil. That's a lot.
That is a lot.
And
do you think that was true?
I looked at the paper.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I looked at the paper.
Oh yeah.
So, we grow in straight compost. So, I mean, there's a higher level of organic material in compost than there is in native soil. So we want to get healthy soil. And in order to do that, either we build the soil or we add additives to the soil in which we have in order to increase that level of nutrient value and health. Now, we all want to make as much compost as possible, and we never make enough. And you can always use a composting machine, or a composting bin from Hot Bin Composting, which makes compost very rapidly, and with their unique system, and you can get compost in 30 to 60 days. That's hotbincomposting.com. And it's a really unique system to get compost made. If you don't have compost that you can make that quickly, you can always truck it in, call your local garden center that has a yard and see what they have available.
The hot bin compost is cool because it also doesn't take up too much space.
It's like a 2 foot by 2 foot square, or like maybe it's 4 square feet, if that. I think it really is.
Yeah, if you don't want to commit to a huge compost pile, or you just think about possible pests or whatnot, the hot bin compost does keep it all contained for you.
Leaves are free, and we have abundance of them in most areas, most of our gardens in the fall. And if you didn't do anything with them in the fall, you probably still have them now, or you have some access to some of them. What we do is we bring leaves in from the street, from our property, and we mound over our raised beds. In the spring here, in the next couple of weeks, when we go and start working the beds, planting them or weeding them if required, we will move those leaves back, do what we need to do to remove what weeds are there, or plant, and then use the leaves as a living mulch and surround the plants in which we are planting. And then by June, you wouldn't know we put any leaves on the garden, and we've put quite a bit. So leaves are one way. Coffee grounds are another. Coffee grounds contain about 2% nitrogen, 0.5% of phosphorus and potassium, based on the type. Now, people will say, Holly, I don't want to add coffee grounds. It'll make my soil acidic. I don't want to do that. Or make my soil acid. Or what? It'll make my soil acidic. But no, you don't have to worry about that.
No, you don't have to worry about that. You would have to add
Well, it's been brewed out, first of all.
Right, it's been brewed out. But you would, to really change the pH or whatnot, you would have to, again, add probably fresh coffee grounds. But what you do is you just take, I don't know, about 5-gallon bucket per 20 square feet.
Yeah, and you want to work it in.
You want to work it in. So you can just broadcast it. Now, if you go to your local coffee shop and they give you the coffee grounds, they're probably going to leave the filters in there, and that's okay. Those break down really, really quickly, but you still want to work it all into the soil. You don't want to just leave it at the top. And
if you don't want to do a composting bin, you can do trench composting, meaning that here's where I'm going to plant tomatoes next year. Dig down like you're going to plant potatoes in a trench and dump it in there, and then cover it up. And then by the time next year comes, that has broke down and fed the soil.
That's really smart to do. A lot of people do that with their kitchen scraps. Maybe not perhaps other plants
but it gets it under and away from rodents and everybody else that's wanting to dig through it.
You also want to keep in mind that you do not want to add diseased plants to your soil. So you may have, maybe you like pruned a bush or something.
You got bean rust or even powdered mildew and all these things, late blight, all this stuff.
Yeah, even from vegetables, but also from other foliage around your landscape. If it's diseased, if it's possibly diseased, don't add it to your compost. Don't add it to your soil.
You get rid of it.
You just want to put it into the trash.
And if you don't have trash that's municipal that can get rid of it, go burn it, but burn it far away when the wind's blowing away from the garden. Another thing you'd want to be cautious of, it's okay to add a little bit of wood ash from natural wood, not pressure treated, but you don't want to add too much, because if you add too much, it's going to mess up the pH. The pH is a scale from 0 to 14, acidic to alkaline. And neutral is 7, which most plants like that. Most of our vegetables are okay with that. You can get 6.5 to 7.5 in that range. You're okay. But if you start adding too much wood ash, I had a friend call and ask this question because his dad puts a lot of wood ash on the garden. It's messed up everything and got the pH all whacked out of sorts. You want to add agricultural lime. Now, whenever you're attempting to alter the pH level, up or down, it's not I put lime on it today, I can plant, and it's going to be back from a 4 or an 8, and it's going to be back to a 7. It takes 6, 12, 18 months. It takes some time to get this. It's not a instant fix. So it is a time process, but it can be done. So it does take some time there. So don't be careful what you add to your garden. If it's going to have the potential of a little bit's okay. A lot's not so much, especially with wood ash. And
we've heard lots of stories about this, whether it be nitrogen, wood ash, whatever. You want to be aware of how much you are adding.
Yeah, toxic soil. Know what you're adding to your garden, because if you toxify the soil, if it's toxified, you're not fixing it. You're going to have to go with a different method of growing with that. So building your soil, it's something that you can start with now and progressively add and work to it. It doesn't have to be, we got to do it before we, in the next 3 weeks. It can be done over the next 30 years. Continue to add and feed the soil, and the soil will feed the plants, which will feed you. You got to feed the depletion of what the plants are taking out. And that's also, part of rotation of crops as well. If you're not topping off raised beds every year with fresh compost, the rotation needs to be done in order to supplement the, one plant puts more in and the other plant takes more out on that deal. And if you have problems with insects in that instance, you want to move the plants because a lot of those insects harbor and burrow and hibernate in the soil in that bed or that area. And then when you plant those things again in that bed or nearby, they don't have far to go. If you move them completely to the other side of the garden, these insects probably going to go to the neighbors and not yours. So all of that is information that will help your garden grow better this year. Also, what will help you enjoy your life and your property and your yard a little bit better is getting rid of the beetles and grubs that are going to be there. Those Japanese beetles and those grubs, Holly.
Yeah, with spring just around the corner, or I guess it's kind of here, depending on where you are. You want to protect your garden, your yard. Think about the Japanese beetles. They're all over, everywhere, Midwest, all over the country, it seems like. And there's just been a lot of talk about them.
Yeah, Grub Gone can be applied to your turf or garden or around ornamentals to control the grubs and lessen the impact those beetles will have on your yard this summer. Easy to use. Apply with a commercial spreader or irrigate right into the soil. Biologically, that specifically targets grubs. This product is designed to target the grubs and not affect the beneficial insects like bees, butterflies, and ladybugs.
Right. And to be honest, it's the only non-chemical that works. You can find out more at phyllumbioproducts.com. You use code GardenTalk10 to save 10% off your order at phyllumbioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.